We're going to now look at what it takes to divide fractions, but in order to know how to divide fractions, we need to know what a reciprocal is. So a reciprocal is just a fraction with the numerator and denominator switched. When we multiply the original fraction with the reciprocal of a fraction, what happens, we multiply them together and they always are going to equal the value 1. And we're going to use that reciprocal, as you guys will see, when we're dividing. But first, let's practice finding the reciprocal of a fraction. So say you guys were given the fraction 1, actually, let's say 2/3. The reciprocal would just literally be the numerator and denominator flipped. So the reciprocal would be 3/2. So you had original fraction of -3/7. The reciprocal would be -7/3. If you had a fraction of 1/5, the reciprocal would be 5/1, or really just 5. Doesn't matter there because it's a whole value. If you guys were given the value, let's say -3, what would be the reciprocal of that? Well, remember, similar to what we just did on the left there, we can put this over 1, meaning the reciprocal would be 1/3. So -1/3. So the reciprocal is just taking that original fraction and switching the numerator and denominator. So let's say we had 2/5. The reciprocal would be 5/2. So when we divide fractions, we use that reciprocal within the problem to do the operation of division. So the first thing we do when dividing fractions is we really just multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction you're dividing by. So the first thing we do is flip that second fraction. Get the reciprocal of the second fraction, and then we make the problem multiplication. Do that multiplication. So say, for instance, you were dividing something in half. If you guys took one candy bar and divided it in half, you would have 2, right? So dividing by 1/2 is really multiplying by 2. That's why when we divide by a fraction, we really just multiply by the reciprocal. So it gives you an example down here. So 7/8 divided by 5/2. So 7/8 stays. We have a multiplication problem now, and it becomes that second fraction, we get the reciprocal of 2/5. And then we do multiplication. 7 times 2 over 8 times 5. So when you're dividing, as soon as you see that division sign, make sure you think, oh, I got to make this multiply by the reciprocal.